Well, good evening.
Hello.
Good evening.
Wow, look at all these people that showed up to be motivated tonight. We have been doing this series, Activate Your Power. And Isabella, can you stand for a moment, please? This was an idea that was generated by Isabella Black. She's one of the congregants from our church. And she came to me and said, what do you think if? And my answer is often, that sounds great. How are you going to do it? Because I don't like to add things to my plate. And she said, don't worry about it, Rev, I got it. And I just want to say that what you've been able to accomplish in the last 60 days has been nothing short of miraculous.
Thank you.
It shows me that if we hold a thought in our mind and we see it through, there is no other option but for it to be done. And I think that's what Activate Your Power now is truly about. Each month we'll have a different aspect that we come at. It might be forgiveness, it might be jealousy, it might be love, it may be freedom, it may be from pain to power. There's just so many different aspects of activating your power. But here's the thing, the words that we say are just words unless you take them in. The words that we say are just words unless you figure out a way to apply them in your life. And here's the thing, don't let the way that it is said or the avenue from which it comes shortcut or provide a detour from you doing the work. And that's what we're really, this week has been all about. Do the work, do your work. And so I'm going to ask you to do the same thing, which is listen, retrieve, analyze, and then put it into action. Listen, retrieve, analyze, and then put it into action, because that's what it's truly about. And as I'm standing out here and I'm looking at your faces, there's one thing that just keeps coming to me, and it wasn't where I was going to go tonight, but here's the thing, I always let Spirit lead me. And there is a book called A Course in Miracles. And it starts out by saying, nothing real can be threatened, and nothing unreal exists. Let me say that again. Nothing real can be threatened, and nothing unreal exists. And so here's one thing I'm going to tell you. The only thing that is love. Everything is generated from love, and whenever we are unable to see that love, that is where fear comes in. But here's the thing, if the only thing there is love, and nothing real can be threatened, then the only thing that is real is love, then love can never be threatened. Yet so many of us go about each and every moment of each and every day finding reasons to block love from manifesting and truly becoming who we are. And so I'm going to take it one step further tonight. Love is the only reality. Everything else is a hallucination in your mind. So my question is, are you living in a hallucination or are you living in reality? Because so many of us think we're only loved if someone loves us. But I'm here to tell you that you are love itself. You don't have to be loved because you are already loved. And in order to truly, truly, truly know love, you have to truly, truly, truly accept it for yourself. So tonight, we are going to start this evening off by just giving ourselves an affirmation. I am loved, and nothing can diminish that. Can you say that with me? I am loved, and nothing can diminish that. One more time. I want you to say it with power and dominion and meaning this time. And I want you to let it sink in. Ready? I am loved, and nothing can diminish that. Now I'm going to go one step further. I am loved, and nobody can diminish that. I am loved, and nobody can diminish that. And then lastly, I am loved, and I can't diminish that. Let's say it this time with power. I am loved, and I can't diminish that. You are breathing right now because there is one presence and one power that moves actively through you. And many days I call that one presence and that one power love. You can call it whatever you will. You can call it God, you can call it Buddha, you can call it Allah, you can call it Ba'ula, you can call it energy, but on most days, when I'm not standing on this platform, I call it love. On some days, I call it God. But here's the thing, it doesn't diminish what God is, but it also doesn't diminish what love is. So I hope that you are ready. I hope you're ready to listen, to retrieve, to analyze, and then put what these amazing folks are about to tell you into action. And at the end of the night, I hope you leave here knowing what is real. And I hope in some subtle, amazing way, you realize that sometimes the hallucinations get you to the reality. Amen? Amen. All right.
How is everybody tonight? My name is Fran. I'm your MC for the evening. Thank Randy for that beautiful introduction. Who is ready to receive your power? Are we going to activate that power?
Yes.
Are you going to receive love?
Yes.
What's your definition of love? The dictionary says it is an intense feeling of affection. That can go in any direction, right? Affection, though, key word. Not hate, not fear, affection. Do you know the different types of love? There's several different types of love. We're going to talk about 4. Eros love, which is passionate love. Philo love, which is a love for a friend or a coworker or an equal. And then there is also storge love, which is love of a parent or a child or sibling, family members. And then we have agape love, which is love of mankind. And I talk about that because our first speaker, I have Philo love for her. She's a very dear friend of mine. Met her a few months ago through a networking event. And she accepted me for who I was. And I was thinking, that's pretty cool. Not only does she accept me, she accepts herself for who she is. And she wants to share her story with you about that. How many of you guys accept yourself for who you are? It's important. You got to start there. So I want to bring up Shauna Collins. She's going to share a little about her story. But before she comes up, I want you to understand, love is different for everybody. You at times love more, harder, and deeper than at other times. So at the end of this, after you've heard everybody's story, I want to hear what your definition of love is. Come on up, Shauna.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I would like to start by saying, has anyone in here ever been damaged by love? I'm sure plenty of people. So what I will be talking to you about today will be damaged but not destroyed, choosing to love authentically. Loving authentically is a choice. Choosing to not let your problems consume you is a choice. So, my ability to love was damaged by my false sense of thinking. You know, the white picket fence, the car, the house, the dog. Everything that you would have always wanted. That's what they told us when we were growing up. Well, none of that happened to me except the house, the car, and the dog. So, just know the American dream is just simply that, the American dream. There I was, flat-footed and pregnant, a junior in high school. Surely, there had to be more to life than this huge mistake that I had made. My 17-year-old mind only knew sex equals trouble. and that there had to be more to life than this huge mistake that I had made. I was so scared to tell my mom, so when I found out, I tried to kill myself. Trying to hide my transgressions from her. I took Tylenol, drank alcohol, smoked marijuana, everything. I tried it. Just so that I wouldn't make her mad of my mistake. So, you see, that's just it. I was damaging myself because of what I thought my mom would think. How many of us damage ourselves because of what other people would think? So, yes. So I've come from a broken single parent home, non-available father, rest their souls. But I was seeking to fill a void that I didn't think that could ever be filled. I was seeking love. You see, I was a lost child. I lost the child I was carrying, but I gained a greater love for myself. The love for myself, I acknowledged myself. A lot of times we don't acknowledge ourselves, but I acknowledged myself that day. And I acknowledge that love does not come from people, places, or things first, but that you must love yourself first and find out who you truly are. So how did I love me? I found the darkest parts of me. And I learned through being patient with myself, my mistakes, and accountability for my actions in everything. You have to take accountability. So I had to own up to my dirt. I had to be myself in the mirror, looking at me, taking evaluation. And I took the steps to own my own dirt. It was ugly. I was ugly. The low self-esteem, the people-pleasing, constant depression, trying to live up to people and society's perceptions and expectations. Oh, and let's not forget the suicidal thoughts. So, how did I clean my heart and learn to trust humanity? By being myself. Learning to be my own best friend. Learning to love the good, the bad, and the ugly parts of me. Do you accept you for you? So, that is how I can stand here today and say that I have overcome my madness in life, to help you see that I was damaged but not destroyed by my wrongs. I was hateful in life because of what people had done to me that I thought loved me. I was looking to society for that American dream that I once thought was true. But it didn't exist. I am choosing to love authentically because I know what it's like to not be loved at all. I know what it's like to be messed up and no one wants you. To be so full of hate and anger that you don't think you can ever be loved or love others. I know what it's like to not love yourself. So I choose to love everyone, even the person who feels unlovable. I love you because you too were meant to be loved. I love you because you are here today. You are worthy of love. Say it with me. I am worthy of love. Now, through these steps, but I had to start unpacking my bag of old love, dirty love, laundry. I had to air my dirty laundry. Almost got ahead of myself there, sorry. But I had to unpack my dirty laundry. I had to wash it through tears, dry it with the heat and trials of life, and folded with gratitude and grace for myself and others. Through following these steps daily, I have chosen to be worthy and to love authentically, showing up as my true self everywhere I go. Because I know what it's like to hide who you really are, to fit in. So just love naturally, and you will heal. What was once damaged will heal and not be destroyed by pain. So you have to let yourself heal. Now, here I stand before you, once at age 17, pregnant, full of guilt and shame. Now I'm standing before you, 39 years old. I am worthy of love. I am no longer afraid. I am blessed. I am love. And I am light in the darkness. I love me, and I am destined to be great. As a matter of fact, I am already great. You see, I was once damaged, a young damaged 17-year-old young lady. But I stand before you to say, not anymore. My heart is full of love and light, and I choose to love authentically each day, because loving authentically is a choice. So I'll leave you with 3 affirmations that I say to myself. I am love. I am healing the wounded. And last but most important, and very dear to my heart, especially now in my life, I am freedom. Because I am the chain that has broken free to set the captive free. Thank you.
All right, continue the round of applause one more time for Shauna. I'm proud to call her my friend. You know, there's just sometimes in life where you have a soul that you connect with. Shauna's one of those souls in my life. A mother's love for a child. Let me hear, I've had a child. You know, a child. It's miraculous, isn't it? What the body goes through. You're carrying this child for 9, 10 months, however long 40 weeks. Imagine what it's going to look like. What their voice is going to sound like. You're nurturing it. You're taking care of it. And then you go through the pains of labor, which is also love, because once it's over, you have a precious gift of love. Storge love. Our next speaker witnesses this all the time. Amy Pooler says, love, you should share your heart with others, even if it's been broken. Share your heart with others, even though it's been broken. This young lady is a doula for childbirth and breastfeeding. She gets the miraculous vision and sight of birth every day that she does her job. What kind of love is that? Birth is miraculous. Not only does she talk about her stories that she has in her life, she also talks about she's recovering, and I'm paraphrasing what she told me. She's recovering from her bad decisions. How many of us have bad decisions? Do you let them rule you?
No.
You shouldn't, because we all have them. She's going to talk to us about how she's healed herself from herself. It's pretty cool. So, with that being said, come on up, Evie Bolin.
Hello. How is everybody? Good. Awesome. So, we're going to talk about tonight the reality of looking for love in all the wrong places. I'm sure I'm the only one that ever did that, right? Right? Okay. My granny was the first one to say, there you go, looking for love in all the wrong places. But she never gave me a map to the right places, right? So I started searching for the right places, and they always ended up in the wrong ones. Always. Let me be clear. I was raised in a church, Baptist church, old school church, everyday church, something for church, where we headed to church, okay? So when I start looking for love in church, that's where I started. I looked for love for the pastors, the ministers, my friends, but what I found was the love that said, do what we say do, but don't tell what we did. I started out with just the men telling me that, but then the women started telling me too. Well, I was looking for love, and I mean, I heard it from my stepdad. He said, do as I say do, but don't tell what we do. I was taught, just waited for instructions from men for the position of power. See, I wanted all of them to love me. I just wanted to be loved. But there was no love. I had to be who they wanted me to be, and soon that's all I could be. I realized their love wasn't for me. It was for what I could do and what I was taught to do. So when the anger took over, the game changed. See, anger said, I dare you to want me. I dare you. And this was a term for the worse, you see, because I was already looking for love in all the wrong places. And still not even looking to love me. So now I had fury to fuel me. I began to have so much hate in my heart. How dare they take my body, my mind, and leave me with this shell of abuse and usage? I was something. I was somebody, right? I mean, I had heard a poem from Sojourner Truth. Ain't I a woman? God, dog, when am I going to become a woman? What would it take to be looked at like a woman? Soon I told that power was love, and it was the love between my legs. So that was the power they told me I had, and that was the love I used. I wanted to be loved, but they told me use what your mama gave you. That was between my legs. If I wanted to love, then they made me. So they messed up. See, they set your girl on fire. And I ran with it. Oh man, I ran with it. You see, I translated their version of love into my broken mind that pushed out my broken thoughts, that pushed out my broken ways, and I began to just act broken in my broken love, right? And I'm still looking for love in all the wrong places, you see what I'm saying? But now I'm armed with anger and the audacity that they had to render me powerless for love. Okay, how dare you? So now I'm angry and I'm pissed and I'm full of hatred and hurt, and I want to break all of those that had the audacity to want me and had the audacity to have a hand in breaking me. So see, now I'm on a mission to regain my control. See, I would stop at nothing for love, right? But what does that mean? See, love was hate for me. So I mean, my first encounter with love was being told that my dad left because I wasn't a boy. And being told that the God of men and the men of God were now loving me because it was carnal. My stepdad's favorite line was, you'll never be good for anything but being on your back or on your knees. Which love was it going to be? The angry one? The real one? The one of God that I had studied all my life? Which one? Which one was his way? I mean, these were his men, right? The men of God. What would it look like? Well, for me, sex was usage. Love was usage. Love was sex. And if you don't want to keep looking for love, well, hell, it never looked for me. I was on the verge of saying to hell with love, but just then I met someone, and they were hateful and manipulative, and he told me that he came to kill, steal, and destroy. We thought alike. And he would never change up on me because you know what? He lied to me from day one. And I lied to him too. And sadly, he was more consistent than those God people. He wouldn't change up on me and those church people that were famous for hearing about him. I mean, he was famous, right? He was an angel that turned into a demon. And from start to finish, he showed me who he was. He told me who was on his payroll, and now I was too. And you see, we worked out. He lied to me, and I lied to him. He was more consistent. He never called it love. We made beautiful hate together. And I felt that finally, for the first time, I was whole. I was whole hate. But you see, I'm not built to hate, and well, neither are you. But it was a great time for a time, right? I didn't care about nobody, and nobody cared about me. And I was okay with that. You see, you can't pick and choose when you want to love and hate, right? But we're not built to do that. So, I wanted to be successful across the board. I had to have my hate be good. But I kind of still wanted to love some people. My family, maybe. But you can't tell your friend the devil that you want to think about a few people. So he ensured that meant that it was just me and him. And he was actually more possessive than God when it came to his assignments. So see, I started slacking at his work. And I started moonlighting with the Lord. He didn't like that. So he exiled me. Which means that it made it a perfect opportunity for God to come swoop in and check on me. See, God sat down at the bottom of the barrel because now I'm exiled and I got nowhere to go. And I'm sitting here with my hate. And that's all I got. So here I was at the bottom of the barrel. And God sat down with me. And he said, well, I've been waiting on you. I said, you've been waiting on me? You didn't see what happened to me? He said, well, I saw you looking for love in all the wrong places. I got so pissed off. I cussed God out. I did. I cussed him out. I told him, how could you do that? I endured the molestations. I endured the rapes. I endured the bad relationships. I endured your fake church friends that had your name on them. I endured them all. And they were in your house, no less. Oh, I told God off. I said he didn't even, and he just sat there. He just listened as if he wasn't there the whole time. I had tears streaming down my face. My daddy didn't raise me. My mama worked nights. I went on and on. And he looked at me and said, well, child, I told you were looking for love in all the wrong places. I had been here waiting for you all this time so I could love you. I cried. I screamed. Well, why didn't you just come get me then? Why wait for me? He said, I never left your side. But your pain and your hurt and your anger, baby, they were louder than me. Child, they were louder than me. I won't yell at you, child. I'll wait for you. But I also won't leave you either. I cried every tear with you. I walked in and out of every place with you. I climbed in and out of every bed with you. You never did it alone. Some of the places you took us, girl, I had to cover you from you. So much so. You see, it would have been much worse if I hadn't been there. I was in every bed next to you, but I never left you. You see, you just kept leaving me, though, and locking the door. And I just know you didn't want to hear it. You weren't ready for me. But I waited for you. I waited for you. And now, everything you went through, while you were yelling at me, it wasn't even for you. What you went through was for those people that are all connected to you and your purpose. My plan for you. See, no one listens until you make a mistake. So I made sure in your story there were plenty. And now they're listening. See, I wanted them to see me and you all along the way when you tell your story. I was making you. I was molding you. See, I'm the potter, baby. And you, my sweet daughter, you've always been my clay. Right? I molded you. I molded your messes into messages. I molded your tests into testimonies and your pain into freedom so that those looking at you can see me in you. And you finally in the right place. And the rest, well, in reality, they're all the wrong places. God is love and love is in God. If you look for love in mankind, it'll fail you every time. But God, he never will. I promise. Because he was waiting for me. And I know he's waiting for you. You see, I know that if you go back to the beginning, he'll be there, waiting for you. So ask yourself in this moment, are you still looking for love in all the wrong places? Thank you.
What a beautiful story. You see, when it's God's story, it's always beautiful. Always beautiful. Eckhart Tolle says that to love, you have to see yourself in others. How many of you guys see yourself in somebody younger, your younger version of you? And you just want to walk up to them and say, don't do that. I made that mistake. But sometimes you have to let those mistakes happen. God let her story happen so she can help others. So his story can be told. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love does not boast. It does not envy. It rises you up. It lets you rise above what you're going through. How many of you guys are going through a lot right now? You know, there's a reason why you're here. And there's a reason why you're listening to these stories. And trust me, these speakers need you just as much as you need them right now. Because they're just people too. Which is why I'm coming up with our next speaker, Bobby O'Kee. I met her, maybe just 2 months ago. And I told her my story, and again, she accepted me for who I was. She didn't run away. Trust me, people have run away. She loves to see leadership come from brokenness. Did you hear that? Leadership come from brokenness. She's a coach. She inspires. She loves. She also loves the Lord, and it shows in her daily walk. Every day I see it. She's going to talk to us about fire. When we talk about fire, what do you think of? Hot? But it's also a starter of things, right? It can also be a destroyer. You let it get out of hand. So come on up, Bobby. Tell us a little bit about fire.
I don't know. After Evie there, oh my gosh. Tears, man. Now I'm like, this doesn't matter what I have to say. No, but first of all, thank you all for being here. I mean, I know it's a Wednesday evening, probably have other things to do, but I'm really glad you're here, because you are here for a reason. You are here for a purpose. You're here to either support one of us, or maybe you were just led to be here, which is awesome. That is God's prompting, that there's something to be said tonight that you are supposed to hear. And so I just ask and pray that you would open your eyes and open your ears to all of our speakers tonight. First of all, I would like to just kind of start off and share my journey a little bit with you. I understand her journey very well of my own, but we're not going to talk about that today. But I want to start 10 years ago. 10 years ago in 2012, I was pursuing a great career at one of the largest corporations in the world. I had a great job. I had been there for about 12 years. I had gotten the positions that I always wanted to have, but yet I still felt very empty. And I started to think, what else is there for me here? I did not see it. I was like, Lord, I really need direction, because I've been at this company for 12 years and I don't feel like I can go any further. And so at the time, my husband was a stay-at-home dad with our 2 little elementary kids at the time. He was in full-time volunteer ministry, so I was the sole income. And thankfully, God did provide for us, and it was a blessing in disguise. But still there was this hole in my heart 10 years ago, and I was starting to get very depressed. I was sad, I was angry because I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing. I really felt like I had no direction. And so I started seeking out my purpose. People were talking about, well, you need to find your life's purpose. Like, well, I don't know what my life's purpose is. Isn't it just getting a job and working really hard and making money and having a house and all of the things Shauna said earlier? Well, that's how I started my journey down this path of really seeking out and asking the Lord, okay, what should I be really doing? I want to do something meaningful and help people, but I had no idea what that was. So 2013, a year goes by. I actually started pursuing coaching. and getting trained in coaching. And during my coaching training, I learned so much about the limiting beliefs that I had in my head, those fears that I had in my head, those voices in my head that were telling me I wasn't good enough, that I couldn't do those things that I wanted to do in my future, that I was thinking that I could be standing up in front of hundreds of people, speaking and inspiring others. There's no way I could do that. But during that training, it really opened up my eyes to this whole personal development movement. And so I took that back to my job, that training, and I went to our head of HR, and I said, hey, I'm gonna get certified as a coach. Would GE pay for this? That was the company I was working for. She goes, no. I'm like, but it's leadership development, and you guys don't offer anything like that. And I thought I was considered a leader at this company. No. So I pursued it on my own, and I'm so glad I did. So 2013, I'm struggling. I'm feeling stuck in my job. I'm depressed. I just had it. During that time, a coworker found in the bathroom, wedged between the toilet and the wall. Someone came running to me. Can you go check on her? Well, I used to be an EMT back in a past life, so of course, that's the first thing I do. I'm like, yeah, emergency mode, I'll go in there and check it. She had passed out between the toilet and the wall and was barely breathing. We got her out, paramedics came. I was by her side the entire time. We thought she was having a stroke. Thankfully, it was just a severe panic attack and anxiety that had overtaken her because she was going through something at work as well, and I know what she was going through. Well, that experience really shook me. That happened in October of 2013. And by December 2013, I said to my husband one night, I was so depressed, feeling that anxiety sitting in the car before you go into work. And I said, I'm gonna be the next one on that floor in the bathroom. I felt so in the dark, stuck in the mud, no way out, that I'm like, I'm gonna be the next one. So that was December 2013. We go on Christmas break. We go to Chicago every year to see family. We come back, and I walked into work, and I said, I quit. And my boss was like, what do you mean you quit? I go, I'm done. Friday's my last day. Didn't even give him a 2-week notice. Everyone was so surprised. But thankfully, I had my husband's support. Now remember, he's not working. I'm sole income. So it was a huge leap of faith. But during that time of recognizing the fears that were holding me back, the fear of failing, the fear of not being accepted as my own individual, because I've always been this corporate person at my job, I didn't know who I was. And I said to the Lord, I go, who am I? And I heard, you're a child of God and you have a message. You have a story to tell, and you just need to be my witness. And so I said, okay, Lord, but I'm giving up this great paying job and I have no idea where you're gonna lead me. And he goes, that's okay. I'm gonna lead you. So that was 2014. What I want to share, though, tonight is I'm sure there's some of you who are in the same situation, whether it's in a job, in a relationship with somebody. Maybe you feel like you're not feeling valued. Maybe you feel like you're not being heard. Maybe you feel depressed, sad, angry, and no way out. It's exactly how I felt. I looked at my career as I looked at my career as an ex-boyfriend, an abusive ex-boyfriend. When I was telling my doctor about the situation that I had with quitting my job and stuff, she said, you sound like you've been in an abusive relationship with somebody. Because I kept going back to work. I kept going back for the abuse, the overpromising the world, never getting it situation. I said, you are absolutely right. And I've been in abusive relationships before. And as soon as she said that, I go, you are right. I am never going to let another career or job do that to me again. Because that's not where you're supposed to be. You're meant for something else. So there's 4 steps that helped me get through that time period and even now. And I call it living your life on fire. It's an acronym, F-I-R-E. The F stands for freedom. What does freedom look like for you? If you feel stuck, depressed, in a hole, you need to start dreaming again. I started to feel like I was in prison. Well, if you're in prison, you do a lot of dreaming, a lot of looking out of the bars. I've talked to a lot of people that have been there. They start dreaming about the freedom. What would they do when they become free? So I want to challenge you to write this down and really contemplate on what does freedom look like for you. Describe it. Once you start dreaming, those sparks will start to ignite in your heart again. The second letter in I is intention. Once you see your freedom and your vision of where you want to be, intention. Be intentional. The definition of intention is to aim or plan. You got to put a plan together. You see, that's what I did. When I started feeling like I needed to get out of prison, I needed to put a plan together. I needed to start networking, talking to people I know that were at a different place than I was, so that I can learn and be mentored, and just meet new people, get out of my circle. The third one is R, resilience. Resilience. What is resilience? That is overcoming every obstacle that comes at you. Because as soon as you start taking a baby step, you'll get knocked down, but you gotta get back up. You need to ask yourself what's holding you back, because then you can start facing those fears and becoming stronger to fight those fears. The last one is E for energy. Here's a quick science lesson. There's positive energy and there's negative energy. Science proves that, right? Our cells are made out of energy. The positive energy is called anabolic. Negative energy is called catabolic. And with those, knowing those two things, you need to figure out what gives you positive energy and what's negative. If you're feeding your mind with negative stuff, that's killing your cells inside your body, believe it or not. Because negative energy causes your cortisol and your adrenaline to go up. And those hormones cause you to be depressed and sad. So think about that for a second. If you're under stress, what happens? Most of the time you kind of shut down and close down and get sad or depressed, maybe angry, right? That's not good for you. Look at what kind of positive things can you start feeding your mind. And what I did is started educating myself on personal development. I'd go to events like this. I started listening to podcasts and people who inspired me. And that helped fuel my fire and my energy and kept me staying positive in what I could do. So back to when I quit my job, that wasn't easy. Single income and all, right? We hit some financial hardships. We went through a lot. However, I went through a fire to be refined. The Bible tells us that, refiner's fire. So with that, I would love to just share with you a quote that I literally just read today. And it's not just a quote, it's a Bible scripture. From Zechariah 13:9. And I will put this third into the fire, and refine them as one refines silver, and test them as gold is tested. They will call upon my name, and I will answer them. I will say, they are my people. And they will say, the Lord is my God. You see, I went through fire just like you guys. Some of you have gone through some burning fires, burning buildings. Some have just touched through coals. But you know what? That fire is refining you to become the person you're supposed to become. Thank you.
All right, you got to clap again for her. That was wonderful. Elizabeth Gilbert says, love. It's being accepted and loved even though they see the real you. What a miraculous gift that is. I paraphrased it. Do you really want people to see the real you? Do we tend to hide who we are? We do. Why? Why would you do that? Because trust me, they really don't care. So you might as well be who you want to be all the time and let joy and love come into your life daily. Daily. I need to hear some energy out there. Who's ready to get motivated? Who's ready to give their energy to the person sitting next to you? Who's ready to hug the person sitting next to you? Come on, guys, let me see you do it. Let me see you do it. Let's feel that energy. It's important. It's important. Our next speaker, James Griffin, is a Reiki coach. He's all about energy. All about energy. You can have a little bit of gas or you can have a lot. It's your choice. So we all have choices in our life. We can choose to be negative. We can choose to be positive. What are you going to choose? What are you going to choose right now? What's negative in your life that's stopping you from moving forward? Everybody's got something. Get rid of it. Get rid of that baggage. James is going to teach us how to love yourself and others. The ability to do that. How many of you love yourself? I don't see any hands. I mean, come on. Was there a time that you didn't?
Yes.
Was there a time you looked in the mirror and you said, I'm not worthy? I need love. You need love. You are worthy. No matter what you've been through. She talked about prison. I've been there literally, seriously. It's a story for another day. 4 years. And she's absolutely right. When you got nothing to do, because you lost your freedom, you dream. But you shouldn't have to wait to dream.
Yeah.
How many of you are dreaming right now? Let's dream. Welcome to the stage, James Griffin.
I don't know about you guys, but I feel activated right now. So we had rehearsal on Saturday, and I was sitting in the back, just calm, listening to everybody's, do their speech and whatnot. And then I was thinking to myself, I gotta step my game up. So Sunday night, I was sitting in silence and basically just, asking, what do I want to talk about? Because the story that I had, it wasn't gonna cut it. And all of a sudden it just came to me. And now I'm like, okay, I'm about to activate origin story mode. So just going a little back. So I received a text last Wednesday when the snow came. My dad, he texted me, good morning, son. I don't know if you remember Alaska much, but days like these will be perfect days for us to go sledding. And then that sparked a memory, an early memory of mine. It's about he was in the Army, so we were moving every few years for the first 8 years of my life. So about 2, I remember us sledding down the hill, and the thing that I remember most was it was at nighttime. And I was like, yes, I remember us sledding, and I remember it being dark. And he was like, yeah, it was Alaska, and it's dark, most of the day. In the wintertime, I'm like, oh yeah, it makes sense. So fast forward several years, and we found ourselves in New Jersey. He gets out the Army, And it's like a whole new world, because before it's just me and my 2 younger sisters, and my dad and my mom, and you know, we were living in Fort Riley, and we moved to Martin City, and then after he got out the Army, we moved to New Jersey. So in New Jersey, it was like I found my mom's side of the family, my cousins, my aunts, my uncles. It was a grand homecoming, and it was an exciting time at 8 years old. And it was a beautiful start to my time in Jersey. I usually call that my hometown, and it's fascinating. So when it was time for us to leave, that was a different story. You know, that's when everything started to shift. I was 15, I came back home from playing outside with some of my friends, and I returned home, and I see, you know, my sisters, I see a look on their face, I'm like, you know, what's going on? And they're like, you know, mom's in the back room, and she's crying. And I'm like, oh, you know, what's happening? So I went back there, and I just hear through, you know, through her words, and, you know, she's trying to talk through the tears that, you know, she had a letter in her hand. And I'm like, you know, what's on the letter? And she's like, this is a letter from your dad. And, you know, she's like, he's leaving us. I'm like, he's leaving us? Yeah, he wrote a letter saying that he wants to separate. He said he moved 3 months prior. This was 2008. And his job transported him from the Sprint Center in New Jersey to the main Sprint Center in Overland Park. So his job was to come first, and then later on, after we finished school, he would come back and basically, you know, pick us up and move us back to Kansas City. So I'm like, okay, what is going on right now? She is hysterical, and she gives me the letter that he wrote to me. So I'm reading that, and at the end, he writes, take care of your mom, you are now the man of the house. And I'm like, what does that mean? I'm only 15. Those are big shoes to fill, man of the house. It was a lot. You see, he was an Army man, so strict, disciplined, didn't show much emotion. So naturally, I picked that up. So I'm like, okay, now I gotta get a rock. And you know, what does that mean? So I'm the one carrying that burden. You know, my mom's crying night in, night out, and I'm there to console her, but I'm taking it all in. So fast forward a few months, he comes, drives up, and he's packing us up to leave, right? So we're all saying our goodbyes. And this is how I leave that part of my life. We were leaving and we were saying goodbyes to our friends. So I'm at my best friend's house. And this was, I mean, we had cell phones, but we were still kids. This was in 2008. So basically, I'm at my best friend's house, knocking on his door, no one's answering. You know, we have everything packed in the car. It's a 21-hour drive to Kansas City. I'm like, okay. You know, I go in the backyard, I knock on his back door, no one's answering. I'm like, okay, so I guess I'm not gonna say goodbye to one of my best friends for the last 8 years. It is what it is, right? Gotta be a man in the house, so suck it up. So we land in Kansas City, culture shock, let me tell you that. I live South Kansas City, Ruskin, go to school, you know, first thing that happens, people are like, somebody comes up to me, he's like, what's up, cuz? I'm looking around like, do I know you? We're not family. He's like, oh yeah, you must not be from around here. I'm like, nope, obviously. In the school itself, it's funny because there was a daycare center. I called my best friend that same day. I was like, yo, you wouldn't believe this. They got a daycare center in the school. He's like, what? I'm like, yes. Crazy. I understand now, but at the time I was like, I was just not in my peripherals at all. But at the same time, you know, it's getting worse in the household. You know, now that we're together, you know, my mom is going through her process of trying to win my dad back, and when she realizes that that's not going to happen, we're still living in the same house for a certain period of time, tension, fighting, arguing. You know, that's when I started to retreat. You know, there was a period of time where my sister was like, why are you always in your room? See, I'm very sensitive. I feel a lot of that energy. So when it's too much, I naturally just retreat in my shell. So it was either my room or just in my mind when I was present. And it was funny. Oh, it wasn't funny. It was hard because it was a lot for my mom and for us at the same time. And it led to a point where, you know, her heart was just too fragile and broke. And it broke in a very physical way, and how that manifested. We were leaving Walmart, me and my sisters, and you know, she already had high blood pressure, but she was on new medicine. So basically we were leaving Walmart, getting groceries and whatnot. And when she was driving home, I noticed some weird behaviors in her driving. She was kind of swerving off the road and whatnot. And I'm looking at her, and I'm like, are you okay? Because the whole time she wasn't speaking much at all. I'm thinking maybe it's her new medicine just causing her some issues. So naturally, I have my hand on the wheel the whole time. And I'm making sure that we get home safely. And I'm guiding the car back home. And then I guide her to her bed. I'm like, maybe she just needs some rest. And she'll wake up. A couple hours later, I'm checking in on her. She's not responding, or she was trying to talk, but she couldn't. That's when I called my dad. I'm like, yo, there's something wrong here. I need you to come over and see what is wrong with Ma. He comes over. He's screaming at her, Rhonda, Rhonda, Rhonda. I'm right there by the bedside. She finally turns over, and she's trying to talk, but she can't. See, we called the ambulance. We find out she had a stroke and a heart attack. And then from there, that was the first time I saw my dad cry. You know, when we left the hospital, he was sitting on the couch and he was just tearing up. And I took it on myself, because they say one of the most important things when people have a stroke is time. So I'm thinking to myself, oh, if only I would have called the ambulance myself when I first saw the weird behavior, maybe she wouldn't be in the situation that she is right now. Maybe if I would have intervened when she was arguing with my sister, and it got a little physical over money, because there was a lot of stress and tension in the house. Maybe if I did all these different things differently, she wouldn't be in this position right now. So I took on that guilt. I took on that shame. At the same time, I was running away. And see, a year later, it was time for me to go to school. And my dad texted me. He was like, well, at least you have an escape. And I felt so guilty for being relieved that he said that. I could leave this place and go somewhere else. But I couldn't really escape. I remember my first year in college, one of my friends, he was like, yo, what's your favorite song? It was like Suicidal Thoughts by Notorious B.I.G. And at that time, I didn't really have conscious thoughts of committing suicide, but somewhere deep inside, I resonated with that message. You see, I graduated and I came back home, and the house was still in shambles. My mom was about to lose the house, and now I had an opportunity to save the day. You know, play Superman. You see, I have my engineering degree. I can get a job, help her with the bills. You know, finally so I could fill those shoes. And I did. I did help her with the bills. We got the house. Well, we kept the house, you know, paid the bills and all that. Over the period of time, I started to grow resentment more, you know, towards her. I already had resentment towards my dad. We weren't really talking unless we had to. But he's the one that left. He's the one that wrote the letter. He's the one that told me I had to be the man in the house. And I'm here taking care of not only my mom, but my sisters. And now I'm like, well, what about me? You know, I was living on my own in college. Now I'm like, I want to do the same thing. But now, no, because she has health issues. So if I leave, that's more stress on her. And then that can lead to another opportunity for her, you know, another episode, I would say. So with that, I just sucked it up. Kept playing my part, kept playing my role over time. It led to me really just being, not loving myself, because I wasn't being true to who I was, I would say. You know, I was putting other people first and putting myself last in that situation. Even though I was doing it for my mom, I wasn't doing it from the place of love. I was doing it from the place of, this is what I had to do, because I was put in that position. And then that bred resentment and anger towards my mom, anger towards my dad, anger towards my sister. She was the middle child. She was the one acting up. I was the one trying to keep the peace. She was the one acting up. So, long story short, in 2018, it culminated in many different events that led to an awakening of sorts, a realization. You know, I had a car accident, came out unscathed. You know, car was totaled. You know, ended in a 2-year relationship that was catfish. A lot of different things were going through me. I was looking for love in all the wrong places. But then I realized that the power was always inside of me to make a different choice. And when I realized that I had to face myself, that all feelings matter. You see, I was going through a process where I was trying to repress those bad feelings. But when I was repressing those bad feelings, I was also repressing those good feelings too, because when I came back from college, I remember I told my mom I loved her. She took a step back. She was like, I don't remember the last time you told me that. And I was thinking to myself, damn, am I really that bad? Like, I can't even tell my mom I love her on a regular basis, that she has to have that type of reaction. You see, I was repressing all my emotions, just to try to keep those bad ones from coming to the surface. I didn't want to feel that guilt, want to feel that shame, running away, not be able to feel my role. You see, all feelings matter. To label feelings as good or bad, well, all feelings are experiences that need to be felt, acknowledged, heard, and loved for what it is. And when we do that, we free ourselves. You see, it's the energy in itself that Bobby was speaking about. The energy, when it's stagnant, when we don't allow it to flow, it causes cancerous thoughts, cancerous feelings, and then cancerous actions in our lives. So I went through my spiritual awakening, you know, my initial steps, and it brought me to a point in my life where now I'm able to say that I am the man of my house, the man of my mind, the man of my heart, control and aware, and I accept who I am unconditionally, unapologetically. So I refuse to let somebody else steal my peace. I refuse to let somebody else steal my happiness and steal my joy. So, to wrap it up, I got 6 things that helped me go from a place of a lack of love to a place that I'm so happy to be filled, surrounded by, love, rich in spirit, beautiful friends, beautiful community. 1, invite love into your life. Make time every single day to give love, whether it's internally, self-love, or externally. It's important in yourself. 2, watch what you say. Remember the saying, I'm rubber, you're glue. Whatever you say bounces off of me and sticks back to you. As a kid. But basically, words have power, so learn to speak power into somebody's life. Being that kid and seeing how, the words my parents were saying had an effect on my psyche. Imagine the words you say to yourself, how they affect you on an everyday basis. 3, learn to let go. Say those words to yourself that you wish somebody would say to you. There's an ancient Hawaiian forgiveness ritual where you put your hand to your heart and you say, I am forgiven. I am loved. Thank you. And you keep saying that to yourself over and over again, and really allows you to release what needs to be released. 4, move. Have a practice where you walk. Have a practice where they have lunch breaks, you have water breaks, but what about breathing breaks? Focus on the breath. The breath can dislodge a lot of long-held, deep-seated traumas and fears that you may be dealing with. 5, surround yourself with beauty. Whether that's what you read, what you listen to, what you hear. Going out in nature, that was my biggest medicine. Just going on nature trips or going outside and really allowing that, bathing in that natural beauty. And then 6, always do your best. Your best changes every single day. If you strive to do your best, then you avoid that self-regret, that doubt and denial that you may feel when you're having an off day. So with that, I say, it leads you to a path of happiness because now you're living your true, authentic self. So, your journey is a gift to humanity, but the destination is a gift to yourself. Thank you. Before I go, I am a spiritual empowerment coach. I'm having 5 slots open for clarity calls. I'm on the sheet that you have in front of you. So if you resonate with this message and you want to get some clarity on something that's going on in your life, just text love to the number or the email. Thank you.
Wait, I got to get my bag. Oh, no, not done. I still got this.
Don't forget your baggage.
Where was that? What was I doing?
It really is that easy.
Yeah, let it go.
Let it go. Let it go. We all have baggage. We all have a past. Don't let somebody else's opinion of you dictate your future. Les Brown says that. He lives by it. It is a true statement. Don't let them dictate your life. When everybody get out your phone. Everybody's phone. Get out your phone. Text somebody that you love them right now. Your husband, your wife, your son, your daughter, a cousin, a mother, a father, anything, a friend. Text somebody and tell them you love them. Because it's important. It's important. Agape, love for humanity. How many of you love your neighbor as you love yourself? Some of us do. I personally have a hard time with that. I really do. I have to force that. But it's commanded of us, so we should try to do it. James, that was an awesome job. He was bringing baggage into his relationship with his mother. He was bringing feelings that can be baggage. TC is our next speaker, TC Woodbury. He is a very polite young man. He's very respectable to people. We need more of that. He's pleasant to be around. How many of you guys can say you're pleasant to be around? I mean, really, some of us are not pleasant to be around. I have a very negative father. He doesn't think he's negative. Everybody else got the problem. He's going to talk about love of humanity and what that really means. He's also a business owner. I asked him one day, what was your job? And he says, I'm an entrepreneur of many things. Doesn't mean you have to be self-employed to be an entrepreneur. You can be an entrepreneur of love, joy, happiness. It is your choice. So come on up here and tell us what you've got.
I love that illustration, by the way. Good evening. Tonight, we're going to talk about something that is hard for most people to do because love is the most difficult conversation anyone will ever have with themselves or with others. Because love requires us to step outside ourselves to love one another. And you have to step outside yourself to love yourself. And so today, Agape came to me when we were talking about the concept of this month's subject. Because the biggest thing that I have faced in my spiritual journey was overcoming the bitterness, hatred, frustration of being rejected by mainstream society for not fitting the mold, for not being my skin tone, for so many things. But one thing that I've recognized in my spiritual journey is that when I accepted myself, all of a sudden, it was easier to heal, but others started accepting me too. And what I mean by others is, today, I can walk outside on the streets and sidewalk and get a head nod from an African American. And I'm not being funny. What I'm saying is, I used to get judged for the way I looked. And now, what's going on? I get acknowledged. See, there's a quote that I said last month that I'll say again. What's within is also without, as above, so below. It's real. And so today, I'm going to talk about a situation that happened at the gym today. Which, by the way, I'm extremely sore. So if I'm like limping, yeah, leg day. There are a group of kids that come into the gym, and they're probably high schoolers. And my first reaction is, well, first off, if you're in a gym and you're a guy, you're my enemy. I don't care what you're doing, you're the enemy. You're trying to look better than me, I gotta live harder than you, right? So these kids come in and, they come in groups and they're all, oh, cool. And they work out and then they look in the mirror. I don't know why they do this. They work out and they literally look in the mirror after they, And I'm just like, come on, man. So I'm doing my thing. But today, I watched a guy on a tricep machine. Now, when I go to the gym, I don't talk. I used to wear sunglasses in the gym so I didn't make eye contact. Because when I work out, I'm actually in a mindset of somebody's trying to hurt my mom. Or I go back to like high school and the people that laughed at me and said I wasn't good enough and da-da-da-da-da, right? So I'm in there, and I see this kid on a tricep machine. It's like the opposite of a preacher curl, but you hold these things like this and you come down, right? So essentially, say if this is the top of it, and then this is the bar, right? You break it down. down for full extension, you bring it back up. So this kid had this thing, literally today, like this. King, king. And I'm watching this, and I'm like, and I'm trying to, oh my God. So I step outside my ego. I step outside my judgment. I take down the shields and the enemy and all that stuff, and I go over to him, and I'm like, hey, so have you, real quick, the way you're holding that, just when I do this, I'm noticing that you're locking out, and then you're bottoming out. You might want to try and just twist the handle there, and just, yeah, like that. So he's like, oh, right? And then I went back to my seat. I was like, just an advice, cool, because again, I don't talk at the gym. I went back and sat down. And I'm looking in front of me, there's a guy on a leg machine doing this. And I'm looking around, and I'm thinking about what I just did. And then it dawns on me. This warm, fuzzy feeling starts entering my heart. And I'm like, we're all working out for something. I want to see everybody hit their fitness goals. It's not just me. Yeah, like I struggle with self-esteem, and I'm working out to gift my 7-year-old self, and I am trying to create a body image that will be an inspiration for those who think they don't have the power to change their body for themselves. Real talk. But these guys have stories too. And I want to see them accomplish whatever that story is. And that, my friends, is agape love. Because isn't it really stepping outside yourself and caring for somebody else without any contingencies? Yep. I didn't get paid for that advice. I didn't get any type of compensation. Agape love is unconditional. So what are the conditions of me helping a guy out? Not a dang thing. I don't know who he is. He doesn't know who I am. I don't know when I'll see him again. But at least in that moment, I had an opportunity to make a positive impact on his life. Now, if we take that small story and then translate that into your own unique situations, what are opportunities that you guys have to love somebody in their mess, making a mistake, and not calling them out of hatred or trying to one-up yourself, but out of love to want to see another human who you don't know succeed? And then what would happen if we multiplied that, not by us in this room, but by Kansas City, 440,000 people?
Yes.
What would Kansas City look like? What would our murder rate look like? Right? So, with that being said, I'm going to keep it really simple. What are the conditions stopping you from loving somebody unconditionally? What are the conditions that you've placed on yourself? What are the conditions that you expect from others? And what would it take to get rid of those? We call them non-contingencies in corporate America. What would it take to take those away and make it free so that you don't need anything back? Because I promise you this, the reward is going to be that feeling of higher self saying, what is it, the Bible quote? Well done, my good and faithful servant, right? That's the reward. And that's worth experiencing. Thank you.
He loves mankind, right? Isabel Black does too. She is an intentional living speaker. She also is a business owner, and she wants to help heal humanity. What does that mean? I guess she's going to tell us. I've gotten to know this young woman. We kind of hung out together the last couple of weeks, and she's just special, and I want you to listen to what she's going to tell you, because she's going to talk about dropping that baggage. Come on up, Izzy.
the month of love, maybe regret, maybe even loneliness. Don't get too somber too quick, guys. I come today with great news. You see, the month of February was actually named after the Roman festival of purification. So we are now in the month of purification. Things feel different when you put them into perspective, right? With that being said, it is a perfect time to purify our hearts and clear all contaminants from our thoughts. They say the top 4 reasons that people give up on love is 1, seeking instant gratification. 2, being emotionally unavailable. 3, commitment issues. 4, lack of compromise. Now I know none of that pertains to you guys, right? I mean, come on, seriously. Seeking instant gratification? Hell yeah. I deserve instant gratification. I've been lied to. I've been cheated on. I've been taken advantage of. I deserve it. How much of myself do I have to give before someone returns that feeling of unconditional love to me? I get it. I've been there. And don't even get me started on the emotionally unavailable part. I was a single mother of 2 sons, pregnant with my daughter, providing on my own, working a full-time job, desperately trying to keep food in our mouths and a roof over our head. My feelings, yeah, they were put away safe where they could no longer interfere with my goals. The only real commitment issue I can think of having at that phase of my life was the fear of unintentionally finding myself in a new cycle of destruction. Every time that I had believed or trusted in someone else, it failed me. I couldn't even pinpoint in real time why I was finding myself in solutions or relationships that did not serve me. Lack of compromise? Yeah. By the time I met my husband in the year 2000, I was done compromising. That hadn't got me very far. This time was going to be different. I was going to set my own rules and pave my own path to a better life. On my own. No more distractions. That was my mantra at that time. Funny how that's exactly when I met my husband. It's time to unpack your love baggage. You do know you have baggage, right? Okay. You see, how you have experienced love thus far in your life has everything to do with how you give and you receive it. I'm not here today to tell you what you are doing right or what you are doing wrong. I'm here to once again challenge you to step out of your comfort zone and commit to being, and that is a key word, being everything you desire in a soulmate or partner. Who believes in the law of attraction? Or that we attract what we are? Let that sink in. The first step is figuring out who you are. Personally, I believe that our soulmate already exists within all of us. I don't believe that it is one specific person, that if you both do everything right in life, you will hopefully cross paths. And if you don't, you're doomed to loneliness forever. Nah. Rather, I believe that when we show up declared with an ultimate purpose and commitment to healing self, any two people that have a natural connection can be soulmates. That is, of course, as long as you're willing to deal with their habits and quirks. Because we are all humans just trying to have our own unique human experience. Today is a good day to start practicing offering more patience and grace, and to start practicing showing up in life being everything you request in a partner. Anybody who knows me knows I have a wonderful husband. My husband's strengths fit beautifully in the gaps of my weaknesses, and mine and his. Our vision of ultimate purpose has always aligned, as we both always knew that this world could be a better place if we all simply did our part. Where I found myself stuck for many years, over a decade, many years, in our relationship, was in spending time stressing and worrying about all the things my husband needed to change or work on to make me happy. Because of this, I found myself lacking patience, grace, and mercy often. This also kept me from properly demonstrating all of the love and gratitude that I did have inside. Listen, if you're going to spend time discussing growth and change, please make sure it's your own journey of growth and change. Patience, grace, mercy, love, leadership, doing my part even when other people aren't. Mirror. How can I love him better? What does he need from me? What would I need in this moment? What do I need in this moment? These are the thoughts I have trained my mind to bring forth when I find myself feeling unloved or offended by my husband or anybody that I encounter in life. The first step, again, is figuring out who you are. Connect with me. I would love to have coffee or lunch and hear your story and have the first conversation to your new life. Thank you. Isn't she beautiful?
do love many things, a force to be reckoned with, and she's going to share her blessings in her life with you. Welcome, Jay Davis.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction. Good evening. Good evening. Y'all can do better than that. Good evening.
Hello.
Hi, y'all. The topic of this evening is unconditional love, a journey to intimacy through devotion. The definition of unconditional love is real simple. Love without conditions, right? Imagine we're in a car riding. Music is playing, the air conditioning is on, we are vibing, it's great. And all of a sudden you realize, oh my God, it's a little chilly in here. Could you turn the air conditioning down, turn the heat up? But unfortunately, I'm driving and I'm singing and me and Beyonce are having a good time. If you like it, then you should have put a ring on it. Like, we having a real good time. And you are sitting there and you're like, oh my God, maybe she didn't hear me because it's really cold in here. And I'm singing loud, me and B are having a good time. It's coming, we in it. Can't hear you. So now you got choices to make. Are you going to keep riding with me while I'm ignoring you? Because clearly I'm not listening, that you're cold. Are you going to have me stop the car and get out? What are you gonna do? Because I'm not listening. Now imagine that this driver is no longer me, but it is you. You're the driver and you're the passenger. How often do you find yourself ignoring yourself? When that person in your life is abusing you and you know it's time for you to go, but you keep staying. When the doctor said, hey now, stop eating all that salt because your blood pressure is high. But then you go out to the restaurant and you say, no, just a little bit won't hurt. How many times have you suffered in silence so that somebody else could feel comfortable? So the question becomes, are you going to keep ignoring you? Now, intimacy. Most often, people think of intimacy, they think of sex and all that other stuff. But in Tantra, not many people know that intimacy means into me, I see. Into me, I see. So on this journey into me and seeing, I found that one, you need discipline. So let me give you the definition of discipline. Discipline means the practice of training people to obey rules or a code of behavior using punishment to correct disobedience. I don't like that definition at all. I said, okay, so what's the synonym for discipline? The first one that popped up was commitment. I don't like that word either. So commitment means the state or quality of being dedicated to a cause, activity, etc., or an engagement or obligation, event, all that good stuff. Commitment basically means that you keep doing what you said you were going to do when you said you wanted to do it, but you no longer want to do it. I don't like that word. So let's look up another one. Let's see. Okay, the first synonym for commitment is devotion. So the definition of devotion is loyalty, love, or enthusiasm for a person, activity, or cause. Religious worship or observance. Okay, that's cool. It's fine, it's better. Okay, what's the synonym for devotion? The first one that popped up is worship. What's the definition of worship? Don't worry, I'll tell you. It means adoration or devotion, comparable to religious homages shown towards a person or principle, the feeling or expression of reverence and adoration for a deity. How many of us know that we are nothing without God, right? But God also is nothing without us. That's we are one and the same. So that deity of worship is you. I'll let that sink in for a while. When was the last time you devoted yourself to you? Who's taking care of your house? So I imagine, I have this analogy, it's called the house analogy, that we all wear many roles, many hats. I'm a daughter, I'm a mother, I'm a teacher, I'm a lot of things. I'm a doula. I have a lot of things that I do, but they are only rooms in my house. I'm the house. So when the house is messy, when things are all, the stuff from the kid room is in the hallway, the stuff from the daughter room or son room is in the hallway, everything's chaotic in the house, I'm still the house. The house is me. So I had to decide for myself what my house has to look like for me. Knowing that I had to go into the basement of my heart chakra or the heart center and unpack those boxes that I didn't want to pay attention to, the one that was deep in the corner with the dust on it, and then you got piles and piles of stuff on top of it. Nobody's basement looks like that but mine. That's fine. That's okay. So I had to unpack those boxes. That meant facing me. Not just the bad things that happened to me. Yeah, those things happen. Those were unfortunate events. Yeah, I got a box that says suicide, and I got a box that says teen prostitution, and I have a box that says teen mother. I also have a box that says 11 miscarriages and 1 live child. There's plenty of boxes there. But the boxes I really didn't want to pay attention to were the boxes of stubbornness, the boxes of fear, the boxes of my own toxicity that I was projecting upon others because others did things to me. I had to unpack those boxes. Got to clean my house up, right? We got to clean the house up. And as I was downstairs, I realized in the heart chakra downstairs in the basement, I realized that, oh my God, somebody messed my house up. Who messed his house up? And now I gotta clean it up. I gotta put the socks back in the drawer, gotta fold the laundry, gotta do some sweeping and mopping. I don't really like house cleaning, but house cleaning is devotion. And that's the first step, is knowing that house cleaning is devotion. And as you clean the things that you lost, because now we're cleaning up the house now, we're sweeping and mopping, we're doing the dishes and everything, you might find some things. You might find some joy. You may find some happiness. You may find some forgiveness. You may find that one CD that's not really on the radio anymore and you keep jamming it because you still got that CD player from high school. But what you will find that is most valuable is you. You'll find you. And you'll realize that maybe, just maybe, the dirty house had a purpose so that you could get back to you. So, devotion is worship, is commitment, is discipline, is self-care, is praying, is meditating, is doing absolutely nothing but sitting there. And after you clean your house and you find you again, you realize that before you know it, whether you're jamming to Beyonce or you're jamming to the Temptations or the Supremes or whomever, whatever music you like, when your passenger tells you that they're chilly, you'll hear them. Thank you.
I don't think any of us are cold right now. This next lady, she tells it like it is, regardless if you want to hear it or not. And sometimes we need people like that in our lives because I appreciate that. Grace Strawn is going to come up and she's going to talk about relationships and how important they are. And I value my relationship with her. So let's go hear what she's going to teach us on that. Come on up, Grace.
I remember that day like it was yesterday. My mom passed one day after her surgery. It was a surprise to us all. Thankfully, I was with her in the hospital in Canada the day she passed. Although she was unresponsive, love totally filled that room the entire day. Even with her short stay at the hospital, she'd made a lasting impression on all the doctors and nurses she had met. They all took the time to come in and see her, my dad, and myself the whole day. You see, my mom never met a stranger. She had an uncanny way of making everyone feel special and important. Even after just one day since surgery, her personality had touched so many people that they made a point of telling us. They even knew me by name because she bragged about her daughter being in town from the US. That was my mom, always loving on everyone. It was like she had the sixth sense about what people needed to hear and when they needed to hear it. People who barely knew her returned her love in gratitude. In her life, she touched so many people with her kind words, love of life, and motherisms. I've always felt blessed to have been taught from a very early age that you love with all your heart and soul. Make everyone feel special. And even if they treat you poorly, kill them with kindness. Throw them off guard. They'll either walk away or they'll return the kindness. My mom passed away only after my brother drove 3 hours to be by her side. She left almost right after he said his goodbyes. She would never have let my brother down, even in death. When my mom passed, I found out that she kept the first card she ever got. I never missed sending her a birthday, Mother's Day, or holiday card because I knew how important it was to her. She always wanted us to show gratitude and be grateful for everyone and everything in life. My mom was a single mom, and she raised 4 children on her own. We were poor, but I never knew it because we were never wanting for anything. When I was 14, my mom remarried, and I got a bonus dad, 2 bonus brothers, and a bonus sister. Our family not only grew in numbers, but truly grew in love. This taught me that no matter what curveball is thrown at you in life, love conquers all. Even though both of my parents are now deceased, I have 6 brothers and sisters, 14 nieces and nephews, and 20 greats. Totally blessed and totally loved. My parents' love legacy has carried on. I remember that day like it was yesterday. I had a call from my bonus brother in Canada telling me that our dad had passed peacefully in his sleep. He'd been in the hospital for 5 days with pneumonia, and I had just talked to him the day before. Our conversation was how he was upset that he had to stay another day, and I told him, take advantage of it. You're getting somebody else to cook for you. You can catch up on your reading and watch some National Geographic on public television. We had a real great laugh together. Being a man of few words, he passed like he lived. No fanfare, quietly alone and peacefully in his sleep. At first I was in shock because I was sure he was going to come home that day. My husband Rick and I had not gone home that Christmas because we decided to instead go home in the summer and go fishing with my dad. My dad didn't make it to the summer, so I had some regret. A very good friend of my parents called me a couple days later and said how sad she was to hear about my dad and how much she missed my mom. Then she said something that turned my feelings totally around. She said that Mom had been patient all those years, waiting for Dad to dance with her again in heaven. My heart was full of love for this woman because she made me realize that my Mom and Dad were now together for eternity. I was totally at peace because I knew that part of loving was also letting go, and she helped me make that grieving process so much easier. To this day, I've never forgotten how she made me feel. Well, I met the love of my life, Rick, when I was 17 years old. We dated for 3 years and then got married. My mom said, "You're too young to get married." But then she knew I didn't do anything I hadn't thought about. And they already loved Rick like a son. She did, however, tell me that I needed to make a promise to her. And if I could not stand by the promise, I really needed to give the ring back. I made the promise. Marriage is not a 50-50 relationship. It's a 100% commitment. You give all or nothing. Never ever live in the past. The past has lessons that are learning tools, but they cannot be changed. Never wish your life away. The future hasn't happened, and even though you can help mold it, if you live only waiting for what will be, when the future doesn't come, you're going to be pretty disappointed. Always live and love in the moment, the present, this moment. It's the only thing you have control over. Live and love the best you can now, and so when the future comes, you'll be pleasantly pleased. Mom lived this way, and it kept her grounded, loving, and loving life. Because I made that promise, I always lived and loved in the moment. I can honestly say that even after quite a few years of marriage, I had no regrets after my husband suddenly fell ill and passed away just 4.5 years ago. The only regret I have is that he's not still here with me. I remember that day like it was yesterday. It was early Friday evening, and the whole day had been full of pure love. Rick had been transferred to hospice from the ICU the day before. Even though he was in a morphine-induced coma, I knew that in my heart that he witnessed all the love that went through the room that day. His co-workers literally came in small groups every hour on the hour from 11 a.m. till 6 p.m., saying their goodbyes and how much he meant to them. My heart, and I know his heart, was full of love, gratitude, and appreciation. What a day, and what a tribute to the man Rick was. 1 hour after everyone had left, and I got to be alone with him, Rick opened his eyes for the first time in 2 days, and all I saw was love in those eyes. I felt his soul leave this world, and I was at peace. Why am I describing this? Because it's important to tell you how much the words he heard and the love he felt that day made him ready for his journey. Now, what do these stories mean to me? Why did I feel I needed to share them with you? This is my why. First, I want to quote one of my favorite quotes by Maya Angelou. People will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Never ever think that what you say or do does not have a lasting effect on the people in your life. It can truly affect them in a way you may not know about. So watch what you say and how you say it. Always tell people when they're alive how much they mean to you. Don't wait until after they're gone and have regrets what could have been. The what ifs aren't worth anything after they're gone. Act on those promptings. When someone comes to your mind, it's called a prompting. Reach out in kindness, love, and gratitude. The prompting usually means either they need to hear from you or you need to reach out to them. Live your life in gratitude. Say thank you and mean it. Not to get something back, but just to say it with no expectations. Give to give, and the universe gives back tenfold. If you give to get, the universe takes it away. Totally live life by the golden rule. Treat people the way you want to be treated. And if someone treats you poorly, walk away, as you don't know where their mind or their heart is at that moment. Life is not only about you, but about how you treat others. You will find that when you treat others well, you'll be treated well. Love to live fully and live to love fully. I take this very seriously, and it resonates in my heart. Be the light in the room. I've been told many times that I light up the room when I enter it. I'm now owning it. Don't strive to make your presence noticed, but make your absence felt. I am the light, I am enough. I am loved, and I am loved. I am one of God's creatures, and I'm blessed to be in this world. I will become the best that I can be, and then give myself away. Do you hear that? That's my heart beating. I am no longer a daughter or a wife, but I am me, and I am alive. Can you feel your heart beating? You are also alive. Now, what are you going to do with your life to truly live and love? Wow.
gotta get to have this lady in your life.
Yes.
I'm so thankful. Thank you so much for coming. We do have an event this weekend called Becoming the Best You Can Be, Overcoming Challenges. You can still get virtual tickets, and every ticket bought tonight will have $7 sent to Randy's forming spot, his beds. But how many beds you got, Randy? Over there? How many?
111.
111 people that have nowhere to go. So if you want to buy a ticket or give to somebody, he gets the money for his forming center. And you will change. Thank you for coming. Go out and do great things. Stay positive. Let's get a round of applause for the speakers. Give a round of applause for yourself for showing up. They're available for questions if you want to come up and talk to them. Everybody have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. Thank you, Brad. Until like an hour, 2 hours. Thank you.